Alright, Putin moves south. Modern War number 37 war game. This is an operational strategic level 2-player war game, so not solitaire. Covers the struggle between Russia and a coalition of opposing states to gain control of Central Asia, from the Russian frontier to the Persian Gulf to the Chinese frontier. The combatants include Russian, NATO, Chinese, Iranian, and various Central Asian states, including the Persian Gulf countries. The game system models the situation at the highest strategic level. Units represent operational task forces of core size, special forces, air power, and cyber war. Additionally, paramilitary forces are built into various game forces. Operations are conducted in a vast theater with limited infrastructure and with coalition forces which have divergent political aims. The side which wins must bring order to the situation. Well, here we go. I was wondering what it is I'm actually trying to do. So the objective of each player is to seize critical resource, logistics, and communication centers, thereby gaining control of Central Asia and from there the Eurasian continent. Continue on with my China equipment identification cards. So we got the 7 of Diamonds. This is the Yitian on WZ551. Actually, that looks a lot like a BTR. So it was probably the WZ551. Okay, it was a Chinese version of the BTR. So what is this? This is a SHORAD system, short range air defense system. Main weapon range 6,000 meters, so 6 kilometers. Main weapon is the TY-90 infrared homing missile. Oh, it looks like it has a machine gun there, but probably just for self-defense. But these cards are doing pretty well. Oh, okay, main weapon. Okay. All right. Again, really looking forward to this. About the maps, I don't like the simplicity of these decision games maps, and I also don't care for the washed out colors, but I will admit that the washed out colors do help, do serve as a good contrast to the playing pieces, so I can accept that. But the simplicity of the maps is definitely not something that I'm interested in seeing. So it looks like each hex is 100 kilometers from side to side. Definitely high scale here. Also, I guess I should say, great scenario variant mechanic. I guess Joseph Miranda, I'm learning, likes this mechanic, which is great because I do too. But it's just a 1-die-6 table you're rolling on before you start the game. I rolled a 6, which means the coalition wins any central. I can't remember if I went over this or not. One thing is that the coalition starts with the shock marker. So you got the Russian side, and the back side is the coalition side. So coalition side, put it on the side of the map here, because that's what the table says. Shock marker goes to the coalition side. Russian VP mod. Oh, so there is a reason to record this. Alright. Well, that's the first thing. I'm going to record this. I'm going to record that I rolled a 6. Wait, they're all 10. Alright, never mind. I don't know how to work this mechanic, but actually every scenario variant has a Russian VP mod of 10. So what's the point? What's the point of recording it? I'm not sure. So coalition wins any Central Asian control determination die roll ties. I mentioned this real quick. Mentioned this before. I'll repeat real quickly. In setup, each side's rolling a die. High die wins the. You're rolling for each of the 5 Central Asian countries. I mentioned this before, that Turkmenistan and Tajikistan on the gray coalition side went to the coalition. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan on their Russian side went to the Russian side. That was because of the die rolls. But the scenario variant tells you that Let me see if there's any different. Yeah, coalition wins any Central Asian controlled determination die roll ties. Coalition rolls one die and receives that number of additional NATO ground SF air units, any combination, as part of the initial setup. So after rolling this, I rolled a die, I got a 6, or I'm sorry, I got a 1, which means I got to get 1 extra NATO force, so I chose, no, what did I choose? I chose, where is it? I chose, where is it? Oh, I chose so maybe I did mention this. Alright, maybe I'm repeating myself. I think I chose the NATO, the MEF, Marine Expeditionary Force, NATO. I think I chose this one, had them set up in Herat here. I think that's, anyways. I like the scenario variant table mechanic. Now I do not know in practice if this is going to be, this seems like really variable, right? So you have 5 Central Asian republics, each of them, you can have any combination of Russian versus coalition initial setup. For control, that's a lot of different major variants. I'm just saying because Kazakhstan is a majority of the, is it a majority? It's certainly about half of the map play area. And actually the 5 Central Asian countries together are definitely, well, it's certainly the majority of the central part of the map. That seems pretty significant. Then you add on top of that, yeah, these scenario variants. I mean, this is significant, it seems like. China, so if you roll a 1, China and Iran are both neutral. Now, Russians lose Iran, coalition lose China. But together, that's quite a big deal. I mean, that's a big variant. Roll a 2, China is a Russian-controlled belligerent. Wow, Iran is a coalition-controlled belligerent. So basically, that is really interesting. You're swapping Iran and China for their starting sides. You roll a 3, Iran, Afghanistan, and NATO are neutrals. Wow. Coalition wins any blah, blah, blah. So, Iran, Afghanistan, and NATO are neutrals. Wow, that seems really dramatic. Roll a 4, coalition starts with all... Oh, I was wondering what you do with these. There are 8. There are 8 of these Islamist units. I was wondering what I do with them. There are 8 of them labeled Islamist. So here we go. Coalition starts with all Islamist special forces. Okay. So you have 2 kinds of Islamist forces. You got the special forces here, and you got the guerrillas, or guerrilla units. The outline of the AK-47 is guerrilla. The crossed arrows or spears, crossed arrows. Crossed arrows is special forces. So you got 4 each of those of the Islamist forces. So if you roll a 4, the coalition starts with all Islamist special forces and guerrilla units. So all 8 of those units. You're going to place those guerrilla units in Afghanistan in hexes not containing other units. Place the SF in the coalition staging area. Okay, that's normal. All starting NATO mobile ground units begin in the reinforcement area instead of on the map. Wow. And then number 5, coalition wins any Central Asian control determination die roll ties. Coalition starts with all Islamist SF and guerrilla units. Wow, that is just really interesting. So 6, what look like quite distinct variants you can play with. Now, I wonder if the variants entirely are optional. Well, I guess in any case they're optional, because you could just ignore them. But scenario variants, Islamist scenario procedure. Okay, here it is. So prior to the start of play, roll 1 die and refer to the scenario variants table. This will provide changes to the starting lineup for the designated powers. Lots of different, basically you have, oh, so these are the scenarios. They call it a scenario variant table, but really these are so significant that these are your scenarios.